Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yes,
Is this Howard?
yes, yeah, it's me. Yeah,
Howard Jones, how are you doing, my friend?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Very good.
Fantastic. It's Ethan here. And I would just want to say thank you for taking the time to call in. I know you got a busy day today.
Yes, yeah.
Well, let's get to it. Back when you were first starting out at the
Okay.
genesis of what would be the technopop 80s, were you exclusively working with synths and electronic instruments, or did you bring in like live drums and guitars? Because I know like New Song sounds all electronic, but Life in One Day has some acoustic guitars in it.
Yeah, yes. I think as we needed it, like things like on the first album, Pearl in the Shell, there's brass instruments, and we also used like real drum overdubs and stuff. But I mean, it was mainly programmed. It was mainly synths on those first two albums, but with added extra musicians, when needed.
Now, those of us who hook into synths these days, everything is sort of a lot easier, more plug and play. Back in the day, how long did it take for you to program a sound or to find a sound that would work into one of those complicated machines?
Well, I mean, in a way, you could say it was simpler in a way because we had less equipment to actually deal with. So I wasn't using computers. I was using like a drum machine that was triggering other synths and triggering arpeggios and so if you take the computer out of it, it was actually a lot more straightforward to actually program and in the early days the synths didn't have memories either, so you had to have like little Chinagraph marks on each keyboard to recall the sound that you wanted for that particular song, and so it was much more sort of hands on and not very automated in the early days, but it was really fun doing the shows because things used to go wrong. But when they went wrong, you'd kind of discover something new, and you could use it, in some other song later on. Yeah.
And I guess the fact that you sort of had fewer options available because synths only had a few sounds capable, your choice was made for you.
Well, I was always one, not to use the presets of the instrument. So I would always go for, creating a sound that was different and new, and that was one of the things that was very exciting about that time, is that you felt you were sort of pioneering, the use of synths and able to really, make it your own by not using the presets in this sense, but actually, constructing the sound yourself. So that's why I did that a lot.
I really like being able to hear sort of the progression of not just the technology, but of artists like yourself and, say Pet Shop Boys and Depeche Mode, as you figured out more and more of this cool equipment and the sounds you could get out of it, the songs and sonic landscapes that you could create from those.
Yeah, yes, that's right. It was very. It felt like you were doing something new, and that you were creating sounds that people may not have heard before, and so it was like being, a scientist working in the lab, coming up with these new ways of doing things, and it felt like you had that pioneering spirit.
My personal favorite song of yours, No One Is to Blame, at one point you re-recorded and had Phil Collins playing live drums on that one.
Yeah, that's right. Phil was great. He agreed to produce the record for me and play drums. And actually, I managed to persuade him to do some backing vocals on it as well. So we had it took 4 days to make that, but it was really quick. And we went down to Genesis Studios in Surrey, and he was making a Genesis album at the time, and he had the weekend spare, and because he was a complete workaholic, he fitted me in on these weekends, and No One Is to Blame was done like that. Yeah, it was such. It made itself really fast.
That's fantastic. And since you're still making albums today, like 2022's Dialogue was the most recent, the technology, as we talked about earlier, has made recording a lot easier. Are there still old school things that you prefer? Older synths, a little more tactile, hands-on in the studio as opposed to just plugins in a DAW?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's good. Question. I mean, I still have a lot of my old synths, and I do drag them out and play stuff in live, into Logic, and then sort of chop up the audio. But yeah, yes, I do. I still like to use those old synths. They don't do very well on the road, though, because they're kind of old and a couple of gigs being bashed around on a truck and they break down. So I don't use them live. I use the software equivalents live. But in the studio, definitely, to get those unique sounds from those great analog synths is just amazing.
Well, and I bet the older machines are a little bit heavier on the road crew too.
Yes, that's right. And they take I think the Jupiter 8 has got like miles and miles of wiring inside it, and it's like it takes a sort of like total sort of like synthesizer geek guy to be able to fix them, and they usually go off for a few months to get fixed. But so they're not really suitable for the road. Although in the early days I had to take them because there was no alternative, and they did pretty well actually, but they were newer then. Back in the early 80s, they were kind of brand new, so they hadn't been around for 40 years.
Well, I bet you could probably always call Martin Gore. I saw a picture of his home studio. It still has all that old equipment in it, which looks like fun little playground.
Yeah, yes, that's right. My friend BT, who has like every synth that I think that was ever created in his studio. So, I mean, I haven't got that. I've kept my treasured ones, but BT's got like, I don't know how many he's got in there. It must be 100 synths. So they're all in full working condition. So if I need to access that, I can go and see him.
You're talking BT, the EDM producer and DJ?
Yes.
I love BT. Yeah. I've DJed clubs before. I had some of his stuff on vinyl.
Yeah. He's. I think he's amazing, and I've collaborated with him now several times, and he's produced stuff with me, and we've co-written stuff, and he's become a really good friend.
You've been on Daryl's show, Live from Daryl's House, a number of times. In fact, you were his last guest, and now you two are hitting the road together. How long did it take you two to go, hey, let's do a tour? Is this the first time you've toured with Daryl?
Yes, that's right. I mean, and it came out of being invited to go on the Daryl's House TV show, and I had such a great time, meeting Daryl and playing some of my songs and some of his songs, and his band was just amazing. And so Daryl invited me to come out, and do a kind of Daryl's House on the road. so I get to play with his band, and then I join him in his set, and we do one of his songs, one of my songs, and a cover. And so it's just really great fun, and it's really different from me working with my regular band. To work with his band has been such fun, and I've done the arrangements differently, and it's great. It's great.
Of course, you'll be on tour with Daryl November 7th, Dr. Phillips Center, and then the Hard Rock Live at Hollywood, the Sound in Clearwater, and November 14th, the St. Augustine Amp. Howard Jones, thank you so much, sir. I appreciate it. It's been a blast, and I can't wait to see you live, my friend.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much, and thanks very much for doing the interview.